Welcome. Let's take a look at doing some measuring with angles. So first, know some of the terms, and I'm not going to go over these much, except I'll use them as we do some of the things in here. So you're going to need to use a protractor, and we're going to measure some angles for some of this. So this program uses a round type one. See if I can get it to change to it. That protractor. Okay. So this is a weird type of one. See the little dot in the middle? I'll put that dot there, and it keeps it nicely lined up, which is good. So I have this arrow. Okay. And what it's going to do, we want to measure 40 degrees. So I actually can come up here, watch the degree amount change. Now in another type of one, you're going to actually look at those numbers so that you'd see here. Let's see, if I counted this one, whoops, I don't actually do that. Okay, so it won't let me write much on it. So let me go back to it there. Okay. So go to 40 degrees. So you'll want to place the protractor with the 0 angle horizontal, and then go to 40 and put a dot and draw a line. Okay, and that would be what you would do with making a 40-degree triangle. Okay, so I want to find a way to, oops. So here, what I did with this one, that's the 40 on it. And now I can actually take a ruler and I can draw that. Ruler part. So I don't have to go out that far. Notice that the arrow that's part of the problem is a certain length. So really what I want to do is I just want to go about that same length, maybe a little bit above it. So just above it like that. So that gives me an arrow here. And I write in here 40 degrees. And once I've gotten that point and can draw that line, I don't actually need things like that extra line there. I don't even need that point. But I do need to draw this line. And I must put the degrees in. Put in the amount of degrees, which means I should use a little degree symbol there. So this and that is what it gives you the answer. Now, in the next one, we're going to look at 115 degrees. And for that one now, you have to end up, we have to go past what would be 90 degrees. Let me change this to this type of protractor. And now I put the dot in the middle. Okay, so on this type of protractor, these are at 15-degree increments, the big ones. So what I want to do is go to 115. So what helps here is I can look at the number and it's telling me where 115 would be. Here it is. Okay. And when I go and take that away, now what I have is I have a point here at the end of that arc. And that's the 115 degrees. But I don't need to draw it out so much like that. Let's go back to the ruler. Okay. And for the ruler, I'm going to go from the center of the vertex towards that 115. I don't need to go that far. Let's move that back. So what I'm doing here is I'm thinking, here's this distance. I want to go that distance. Maybe a little bit more is okay, but I want to go about the distance of what the other one is. So it just sort of looks reasonable there. Okay, so this would be 115 degrees, and I no longer need this arcomètre. So that's one internal or one acute and one obtuse angle. There's a couple more to practice. If you have a protractor with you, go ahead and do that. Just pause and measure these, and then come back and I'll measure them too. Okay, welcome back. So I'm going to use these two. So I need to change this one. Protractor. set this one up, and I'm going to go to 53 degrees. I can't get it to go to 54. Okay, so I think I'm going to take that over again. It won't go backwards on this little drawing program. I have to very carefully stop at the 53. Okay, I still give credit if it was reasonably close, like the 54. So now that gives me a point right here. And I'm going to do what? And go towards it, but not too far. So I think that's a reasonable amount there. And that's 53 degrees. I'm going to do that one. Now I'm going to do it for the other problem, 165 degrees. Protractor here. And put the center here. Okay. And measure 165 for it. Okay. 100. Wow, this comes around. Oops, and I went too far. So I need to actually just get rid of it and do it over. Back here. And I think I actually, yeah, I guess that's as much as I can do. I wish this was a smaller protractor, but I can do that. So let's go 150, 160, 4, 5. There. Now, seeing is how, and see, now that was really hard to see. Let's come back to it. And what I want to do is I want to sort of memorize about where it is, because normally I'd put a dot there. I just can't do that with this program. Okay, so I'm going to estimate that it's about to here. And if it's a reasonable amount, then that's going to be good, reasonable place. So it looks to me like, I think it was down to about here. Okay. I'll go out towards it. Don't need the big one anymore. And I'll call this one 165 degree angle. You don't need the arc there, but it's a pretty good thing to have to show that we're going that angle now. So this is almost 180 degrees, almost a straight line. So let's go to a different relationship between angles. And here we won't use the protractor because this is not the scale. What we're going to do is use this information, 10, 90, 15, bisecting for the angles that are listed here. Right. So A to G to B is this angle, and that's 10 degrees. So I'm marking each of these. A to G to D is a 90-degree angle, so I can do that for 90 degrees. CGD is 15 degrees. That's this one to this one, down to G. So that means this is 15 degrees. And then the other one is that GE bisects it. So this one, it bisects the other two. So if it bisects D to G to F, that means that these two sides are equal, or these two angles. Well, because of the 90 degrees here, that means this has to be 90 degrees. If that's 90 degrees and it's bisected, that means that these are two 45s. I'm going to put those 45 degrees in here now. So there's only one that we don't know. And for this one that we don't know, let's actually take the full information. This is a 90-degree angle, and we know two of the three. So this one is 90 degrees, take away 25 degrees, which is the 15 plus the 10, which makes it a 65-degree angle. We now know all of these internal angles. And with that, we can answer these questions. A to G to F is the entire full thing, so we have 180 degrees. For DGF, here's D, going to G and going to F, well, that's 90 degrees, already determined that because of the other half being 90. D to G to E is one of our bisected 45 degrees, and so is EFG, or EG to F. Notice for every single one of these, you have to keep the vertex G in the middle. That's absolutely essential. The other two, it doesn't matter which one goes first or second. B, G, F, go from B to G to F, and that's the whole thing minus 10. So either add them all up and get to 180, or do the 1 minus 10 to get to 170 is what this one would be then. It would be 10 degrees less than the 180. A, G, C. Okay, so A to G to C means adding these two, 75 degrees. Okay, so look at the other ones, and I'm going to write them down here so you can see where they would all be, really just adding up parts. So B, G, D, find B to G to D, that's adding these two, which is 80 degrees. So all of these are just finding the right combination. GE is 125, BGE is 60, CGF is 105, AGE is 135. That covers almost all of them. So this is the kind of thing you will see often on different types of exams. You're given some information and you have to go further with it, figure out what the other angles are, and then answer a question on it. So yes, this is something everyone will see again. Now let's take a look at bisecting angles. So what happens here is we are told, and actually I didn't write here, but I'm going to say BC bisects angle ABD. So this symbol means bisects. All right, so in this case, I am telling you that the BC here cuts it exactly in half. And we're being told that A to B to C, this one, is 38 degrees. If it cuts them exactly in half, that means that the other side is the same. And the overall total is then adding them together for 76 degrees. Right? And we're asked what is ABD. ABD then is the 76, where's the total of both of them. So I'll put 76 degrees here. Now here, find the angle bisector and state the measure of all angles. This is where you'll need to use a protractor. So what we'll do there, okay, so here I have a little problem where I'm not able to make this one straight, not with this type of protractor. So I'll tell you what happens there. When you use a protractor where you can, you go exactly in the middle. Well, first you measure this, measure the entire thing with a protractor, with this one being to the 0. Then you end up finding out that the whole thing overall is 40 degrees. And then the line in the middle, it's drawn very well here. Line in the middle here means that we have two 20s here. And with the two 20s, now we can say the measure of the angles. We'll have to use some numbers. I don't know, let's call it J, K, L, you do L here, and M. So angle JKM is 20 degrees. Angle, oh, no, we can't use the J. The J has to be in the middle. And I just forgot that. So let's redo this one. So angle KJM is 20 degrees. Angle LMJ, oh, no, J in the middle. L to J to M is 20 degrees. And the overall one then is angle KJL, or LJK would also be fine. And that would be 40 degrees. So that's the amount of all of them. And you'd use a protractor to get the 40 degrees first. Okay, now down here, these two need the same thing. We're going to answer this one, use the bisector and state the measure of the next one. So use a protractor for that. Go ahead and pause and then come back to it to do that one. Okay, go ahead. Welcome back. For DEF, for this whole thing, that's 85 degrees. If you divide them both in half, 85 divided by 2, that means you're going to get 42.5 degrees for both of these. And the one we want is D to EG. So that means that that would be equal to 42.5 degrees. Now, the next thing then, if you measure this angle with a protractor, you end up with approximately 74 degrees. Some might say 72 or 3 or 75 or 6. If it's reasonably close to that, you'd be okay with it. You would use a ruler then, or figure out, do half of it. Let's see, I need that. And get that back to the ruler here. So I can now use that ruler here and do what is approximately what looks like halfway here. If I could use the protractor right on this one, I would do it with that. But I'm going to have to, that one did not turn out as much of a middle one as I want. That one looks a little bit better here. Okay. And so half of 74 is 37 degrees. So let's measure each one. Actually, the measure of all angles right now, I'll just say 37 degrees, 37 degrees, and 74 degrees. So hopefully this helps to understand on this part how to do bisecting. You'll use a protractor for it, for some of them, get the exact amount, and then be able to cut it in half. Or in some cases, you don't even need a protractor if the line is given to you and an amount is given to you here. Here in this one, these two amounts being given to you helps you without needing the protractor. And then, of course, this problem where you have to deduce the different parts of it with some information. And here, these are practice using a protractor to get angles in the first place. All right. Thank you for watching and listening. Hopefully this was helpful.